Welcome, everyone. I'm Marla Miller from marlamiller.com and Writer's Mama, presenting our second author interview show, 21st Century Authors and Book Promotion. I'm delighted to have Dr. Mary Hill with me today, whose memoir, Girls in the Hood, was published, I believe, last fall, but she'll give us those details. I first met Mary when she came to the Santa Barbara Writers Conference a long time ago. And this year, at the 50th anniversary conference, she's going to be presenting Girls in the Hood on a first book panel, which is just delightful. And we continued our professional relationship when COVID shut us all down, and I launched my Zoom read and critique workshops. Mary was in my first. She had to leave because Girls in the Hood promotion was coming up, and she appreciated, if she didn't before, she appreciated how much time that takes. But then she joined a second read and critique group, and she's going to bring us up to date on the story that she was able to craft, like a lot during her time with us. And I just want to read a little bit before I introduce her. Mary, you're being so patient. But I want to introduce Girls in the Hood, because this show, as you know, we really don't talk about story. We talk about the process of getting that story published in the hands of you, our readers. Girls in the Hood is an unsentimental, moving, and surprisingly humorous account of a girl and her 10 siblings who grew up in one of the roughest neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Mary's mother was a fierce matriarch, a single mom who raised 11 children with the help of welfare checks and a firearm hidden in her bra. And then I'm going to go down to, and remember, this is Mary's memoir. This is a story of Mary, but even more so, it's a story of her mother, a uniquely strong and extraordinary woman who was able to survive moments of pain and disappointment by laughing at the comedy of human missteps, miscalculations, and downright stupidity. This is a story that's also about race and poverty, and how over time it can wear you down and destroy you. Because although Mary got out okay, her sisters and brothers weren't so lucky. With that, I'm going to welcome Dr. Mary Hill to our show. Welcome, Mary. I'm delighted you're here.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Okay, so since this show is really focused on publishing, you are published by an independent press, and you are represented by an agent. Could you give us just a little taste of what it was like to find the agent, and then how long it took to get a commitment from a publisher?
Well, I practice going to agents at the Santa Barbara Writer Workshop. There's a Santa Barbara Writer Workshop you can have agents look at your query letter.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that as kind of, I saw that as kind of batting practice. Good. And it was good that I went to those, because I got a sense of what's to be expected, what agents are like, what they expect, asking you questions like, what's at stake here in the story, etc. Mm-hmm. And so I went out there and I got on Query Tracker online, and I saw agents that were looking for the kind of thing I was writing, looking for memoirs, mm-hmm. looking for unique memoirs. Mm-hmm. And I queried probably 70 agents or so. And I had given myself, and it was somewhat disheartening in the beginning, because you're getting all these rejections. But
if they bother to send you a rejection.
Exactly. Some just don't bother to send you anything at all.
No, they don't.
And but I kept all of my rejections, because someday I'd like to write something about rejection. But anyway, I kept all of my rejections.
If you're looking for a co-author on that one, let me know, because I've kept all of mine.
I mean, some are just, aren't they? Some of them are hilarious.
Yeah.
But some are just kind of like terse, like, this is something that we're not interested in. And I got dozens and dozens of those things. And it was very difficult to get someone to appreciate the story that I was telling. Mm-hmm. And but I didn't get discouraged. I gave myself to 100. I said, if I get rejected by 100 agents who don't want to represent Girls in the Hood, I am going to self-publish my book. I decided I gave myself to 100.
That was so
And
smart, Mary.
yeah, so
really,
somewhere around 70 or so.
Yeah.
And I was really getting discouraged, but somewhere around 70 or so, I got 3 offers of representation all in the same month. It was crazy. It was crazy. And
thrilling. Was it thrilling?
Yeah, oh, it was great. It was great. I was so surprised.
Yeah.
I was so surprised. And one of the agents, she actually got, if you will, out of the business before she could actually do anything with Girls in the Hood. And then there were 2. And that's a lot. That's
You're
a lot.
Right, it is. You betcha.
70. And the first one, he said, I can sell anything. You really got a great story. And he took me to lunch and went out to Venice and took me to a restaurant. And he told me about all his other projects. And he was very bullish about Girls in the Hood. He was very on the project. And I was just so thrilled. And then I called up another agent and I told her that I had this offer of representation. And she said, let me read this again. And she said, let me read this again. And then she called up and she said, I want to be your agent. And I said, oh, okay.
Mary, can I just, I've got to ask this question. What made you do that? That was really unusual for a writer to do that. And the fact that you did, look at the result that you got. What propelled you to do that? Did someone encourage you to, because what you did was you went, I got something here. It's, that's called strategy, writers. That's called strategy. Okay, go on.
I was reading industry books.
Good.
That said, if you get an offer and you're really interested in a particular agent, and they're still considering, let that agent know that you have an offer.
Good, excellent.
And I thought it was really difficult to decide. And what made me decide on the agent that I went with was that she was she read it twice and a book. Lovely. She read it, and they're very busy.
Yeah.
And we discussed parts of the book that she enjoyed. The other guy, I could tell he had not really read the book.
Yeah.
He liked the story, but he didn't really read the story. And so I went with the agent who read the story.
Good.
She's in New York. Her name's Andrea Soundberg. She's wonderful. And
I know the name well.
And she said, I'm with this project. I'm gonna find a publisher for this project. And then there's a project. Wonderful. So
how long did it take for her to find a publisher?
About a year.
Was it nail biting for you?
Yeah, I asked her, I said, what's the longest time you've ever,
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
And she said, if I really believe in a project, she told me she kept sending out one particular project for 5 years.
Is that right?
And I said, oh, I don't really want to spend 5 years doing this.
Because in your mind's eye, you already had an alternative. You would go down another road to publication after an X amount of time. Yeah.
Yes.
That's being very pragmatic.
And she sent it to, oh my goodness, she sent me lists to everyone she was sending it to. She sent me lists. Lovely. She sent me those who were encouraged. I think she shielded me from some stuff actually. But she sent me she sent me notes from the people that were positive, and some that said, oh, this was so good and I enjoyed this so much, but we already have another project similar to this kind of thing. And the ones that were not so positive, she sort of shielded me. I got a sense that she was shielding me from that stuff.
That's really nice.
Yeah, she's great.
I mean, especially in, the goal of this show is to offer our listeners, who I assume most of them are writers on the road to publication, but it's to offer them experiences of real life authors who are going down these different roads. And my goal is to offer positivity in whatever road you're going down. I don't want to hear you know, the negative. I like the positive. And one of the things that you've said about this agent is what I learned about agents back in the 90s when I started writing, because like you, it was my second career, is that professional agents who have time in this business are like that. You know, they're professional. And so it's nice to know that in 21st century publishing that they still exist. I'm shopping 2 projects myself, and like you, I've got to, you know, I'm going to do it until I do it. However, the agents that I've pitched to who I know have a long history, they're the ones who always email me back or have their assistants email me back, and that's just being a pro. So I'm glad that you're experiencing the same kind of thing. Now, didn't I interrupt your thought, or
no,
okay, cool.
I was listening.
Okay, so what have you done for marketing? I know a lot of what you've done because I see you in social media working hard, but share with our audience if you would.
Marketing has been this, I mean, there's a
and public relations. Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, there's a sense that you write it and then the marketing will take care of itself. Yeah. That is just not true. Mm-hmm. And so I learned from you in Santa Barbara, at the Santa Barbara workshop, at your Marketing the Muse workshop that you do, that you got to get out there. You got to have, you have to have a social media presence, and you have to be on all of these platforms. And the first time I even heard about platform building was from you. Yeah, you talked about platform building and the importance of it. And I remember being in that first workshop years ago going, what's a platform? Yeah.
And do I even want to hear this? Because it sounds so foreign and so unnecessary. My time is more important, right?
Yes. I mean,
that's the initial response from most writers. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't want to.
It's been crazy. It's like learning a whole new industry within an industry.
It's exactly that, Mary.
Yeah, it's been insane. I found aspects of it that I enjoy. Mm-hmm.
Like
I put together reels of my book and little commercials, and I put them up on YouTube, and I put them up on Facebook, and I put them up on Instagram, put them up on Twitter, and they were so much fun to shoot. I couldn't believe like these aspects of creativity came into it.
Wonderful.
Where I enjoyed that part. I didn't enjoy the part of, you got to make an email list and you got to make a web page. When I tried to do my web page initially, that was a challenge too, because I didn't know how to build a web page. Yeah. And everyone was telling me I needed to have a web page. And I got all kinds of crazy estimates. People were like, oh, I'll build a web page for you for $5,000. I'm like, I don't have $5,000. And so I got a couple of books.
Yep.
I got a couple of books and
DIY.
I built a web page, and I put stuff up on the web page, and so that and so it's all been a lot of like building blocks. I was kind of amazed at how frankly little that the publisher did to promote the book, and that I was going to be out there promoting the book.
You were going to be out there, and whether you're represented by a big house or a small house or whatever road you hybrid self, you are the major marketeer unless you have a tremendous following or you're an influencer or a celebrity. It's just the reality of 21st century publishing. It just is. And it has been for a lot longer than many writers think. The big houses really shut down marketing for anyone that wasn't, a big seller, because what writers have to remember, Mary, and you've heard me say this often in workshops, is that writing is creative. Publishing is a business, and a business has to make money or it will cease to be a business. Mm-hmm. And writers have a hard time building bridges to their left and right brain. You obviously have not. Was there anything in your background that you mentioned that you love shooting film? Now, I know that you were taught at USC. Did you happen to get a
Well,
taste of?
I was sort of cinema school adjacent.
Okay.
I live with a bunch of cinema people, and I love movies.
Yeah.
And I've done movie reviews and this kind of thing.
Okay.
But now I was kind of, if you will, and I've written screenplays and taken classes.
Okay.
And now I was actually using those skills to market my, if you will, my product.
Mm-hmm.
And
because it is a product.
Yeah, to market my product.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
I had to like write little scripts and come up with graphics and make things interesting and exciting and choose music and all that. And that was actually
how cool. Yeah. That you were able to knit together two creative parts of you. That's very, very cool. For those who don't know how to do that, there are certainly services. We won't go down that road, but before we end this, because I do have us on a timer, and I could just keep talking to you, but you'll have to come back, that's all. But I want to talk about the project that, did you say that your publisher now has it in?
No, the publisher, I've sent it to the editor.
Okay.
My next, and by the way, it's Mary Hill Wagner, because that's what's on the book.
Very good. Okay.
HILLWAGNER. So anybody do reviews if you read it and you like it. If you don't like it, keep it to yourself. And
that's
so,
right.
but
go to Amazon or
go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble,
Amazon, and review it. You can also review it on Goodreads.
Because aren't reviews important?
Reviews are really important.
Really, really important, writers.
They're really,
so
really
pay it forward. You know, Ray Bradbury used to say
and
that.
I review other people's books too.
I do
At the LA Times Book Festival, I was busy walking around. I was doing a thing myself there, but I was busy walking around to all the authors that I knew and making sure that I got their books and I signed their books, and I made a big deal about it. And I brought other people over to their tents.
Good.
You know, because pay it forward.
Absolutely pay it forward. Mary, before you finish that thought, though, I know that you speak a lot, and you've spoken at libraries, and you mentioned the Los Angeles Book Festival. So you look for those ventures.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, I do. I do readings. I organized readings at bookstores, at book festivals. These is part of promotion, and I found I enjoy that too, because there's a lot of direct reader engagement, and people come up to me telling me things that they pulled out of the book that I didn't even know was in there. It's my book. I didn't even know it was in there, and that they just love certain parts of it that they interpreted through their own lens.
So cool.
That it was very fulfilling for them.
Yeah.
And that's when
I'm gonna stop you, because I want you to give us a little taste of what's coming.
Oh yes, Grandma's Hands Grandma's Hands is a woman's fiction book that I wrote. I've pivoted from the memoir to fiction, and it's about three grandmothers raising their grandchildren. And I've enjoyed it, and I was helped to develop it in your workshops. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's now with an editor, and then it's going to go through the process. We're going to do the whole thing all over again.
Yep.
So,
and then you're going to do it all over again with the next one, Mary, because I would say, if I were a betting woman, I would say, hold on, that's our timer, and we're just about done. If I were a betting woman, I would say that you have several more books in you, and I look forward to chatting with you about each and every one of them, because it's a hard enough life out here, and developing networks of writers and supportive people who like your work and believe in your talents. It's important. You know, it's always been important, but it's really important now with everyone screaming. You know, how do you pop up above the noise? And I hope that 21st Century Authors and book promotion is, you know, going to contribute a tiny bit. And so with that, I will say again, thank you, Mary. Dr. Mary Hill Wagner, who's you can find Girls in the Hood. Did you want to hold that up?
Girls in the Hood.
There's Girls in the Hood, and you can find it at all the usual bookseller places. Thank you very much. And I'll see you soon at the Santa Barbara Writers Conference.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks, Marla.
Bye-bye. You're very welcome. Bye.